Hello. In my previous speeches, we've discussed relating a personal experience to Scripture, the different types of sermons, and the different types of churches. Today we're going to talk about reasons why people may not want to come to church. While there are several, the two main reasons that I have heard are I don't know if the minister practices what he preaches, and I don't want to go to church because there are too many hypocrites there. Well, your reason for going or not going to church is all your own. But I will tell you that it will make a tremendous difference in your life and in the lives of your children to come along like-minded believers on a path toward God. Now, as far as practicing what you preach, when we're discussing a minister, the first thing we have to remember is that ministers are normal people. Yes, they're held to higher standards and there are expectations of them that there may not be of other people, but you're not going to find a perfect one. They make mistakes just like everybody else. That is not to excuse some things that you feel may be beyond the bounds of what you can tolerate. But there's no way for you to know these things until you actually spend time and get to know this minister. Now, when you're talking about people in the church practicing what they preach, it's a little bit different because there are many more people in the church as opposed to one minister. People have different views and different expectations of everything in the church, from the minister, from the way the message is brought forth, to the music, to the carpet. There are many, many things that people can have opinions about in a church. So we all have to understand that while our opinion of someone not practicing what they preach and someone else's could be very, very different. This is truly where grace and mercy comes into play. Sometimes we hold other people to standards that we don't even hold ourselves to. Unity, or the lack thereof, is a huge issue in the church today. If we could come together and apply that grace and mercy and really be for one another and put others before ourselves, unity would take place and there wouldn't be all of these masks and questions and defensiveness in churches. So to find out if someone practices what they preach, it's a little scary, but you have to get to know them. Now on the topic of hypocrites. A hypocrite is a person that acts or is holy while they're at church and then lives out their week in a very unholy way. Yes, there are hypocrites in churches, but whatever you look for is what you will find. So if you go to church looking for a reason not to have to go to church, you're going to find it. But if you go to church looking for the good people or looking for the people that are not hypocrites, you're going to find them as well. It's all in your view and how you handle the situation. Look for the real reason that you're there. Going into a church that you've not been before can make you nervous. It can be an uncomfortable situation, just like going in almost anywhere. First day on the job, first day at a new school. All of those things can make you nervous. And a lot of people let that keep them from going. But having a relationship and being able to connect to the God who created you is worth far more than any nerves you would have walking through the door. Now, there are churches that you walk in and you know immediately, this one isn't for me. But you will know that because God longs for a connection with you. And so if you walk into a church and you see and feel things and it doesn't get better within going to a couple of services, maybe you should find another church. Maybe there's one where you will feel more at home. I just caution you not to judge a church on one or two services. Go there a few times and really get a feel for it. You'll know inside. You'll know if it's the one that you belong to or not. Because sometimes you belong the minute you walk in the door. So the real reason you're there is kind of a big deal. And if you do come across hypocrites and you see things and you feel things and you know it's wrong, the best thing to do is pray. Pray for that person. The worst thing you can do is attach yourself to the spreading poison of gossip. Because all that gossip does, when you see a person that's a hypocrite and you start talking about them, it creates more hypocrites. And that's the last thing a church needs. But if you see someone acting in a way that you know they shouldn't be, or maybe not even them, pray for that person. That could make it better. Talking about them and gossiping won't do any good. It just creates more hypocrites. Now, with all of this, it boils down to relationship. Whether it's practicing what you preach, or if there's a hypocrite in a church, these reasons to not come to church all boil down to relationship. You may have been hurt in a church before. You may see aspects in a person that you saw in another person that hurt you. I caution you to keep an open mind and build these relationships. To say you won't go to a church because you don't know if the minister practices what they preach, or because there are hypocrites there, means you don't build those relationships. But we don't put those same stigmas on friendships or relationship with coworkers. We don't know if they walk their talk or if they're a hypocrite in the way they live their life until we get to know them. Some things are about faith and trust. And if you're willing to take the step in faith and trust towards another person, a friend or a coworker, then that same step of faith needs to be taken towards your God. I promise you, it will be worth it.